everybody, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill here. Today, a quick, easy art journal page that's perfect for the beginners. So I am working on a substrate that is approximately 6 inches by 7 inches, and it is, I cut it off out of this 12 by 12 mixed media board from the Crafter's Workshop. And I customized this shape. You'll see why at the end of the video. So I have these 3 bee-inspired rice papers from Ninnys Napkins, bee pattern, bee stripes, and honeycomb. And honeycomb is the one that I'm going to use today. But I love all 3 of these, the black and the yellow color scheme is so cheery and happy. So these are rice papers that Ninny has made herself. She has designed these and she is now selling a line of rice papers. So go to the link in the description box. There's a coupon code there and you can check out all her rice paper designs. Now you'll notice there's no white border, but there is her name, Ninnys Napkins, somewhere on there, so you're going to have to work around that. But not having the white border gives you a little extra rice paper to work with. Now this would make a beautiful all over background, Insta background. But I want to do some playing around with my background. So I am just cutting these hexagons out in what I think is a interesting pattern, and I'm going to glue several of these onto my substrate. Now the rice paper cuts very easily. You can water cut it like you do napkins to get that deckled edge, but because I am cutting the hexagons and their straight lines, I can just use my scissors. So I'm thinking I will put one in that corner, and maybe then I'll have one down here. And then I can do something in the middle. And then I'm thinking, oh, what are the other possibilities here? I'm thinking I could just have it go through the middle, and then I would paint the top and the bottom. That would look nice as well, or just the top. So there are lots of options, and once you start cutting them apart, you're going to come up with the options. I'm going to go stick with in the corners, but I'll play with the other options on another time. I've gessoed the mixed media board, and now I'm drying that before I use my fluid matte medium to glue down the rice paper. Now the thing I noticed, the rice paper is so easy to glue down. There were no wrinkles, no struggles. If you struggle with getting wrinkles when you use your napkins, you may want to try the rice paper. So I put a coat of the medium underneath and then on top to glue it down. I love those hexagon shapes, and I have an idea here that, I can make a bigger hexagon tracer and do some stenciling in the different hexagons with different color patterns and just basically recreate this. Just using my own stencils. So my idea here was that I wanted to make a sky. So I'm coming in with blue and green, kind of, the sky and the ground. And I'm painting that out here, and I'm building up the color, and I'm just not loving it. I try to deepen the color, add more. maybe if I went to a dark navy, but at some point I decided, nope, I'm going back to the white background and I'm applying a coat of white gesso. And then I realized I'm going to be have to put a lot of coats of gesso. And I looked at it and I said, okay, what color background can I do here? And yes, of course, I'm going with black. Here I'm using TCW's black gesso. It gives a nice matte finish. If you don't have gesso, you absolutely can use black acrylic paint. You may have to put a couple coats. With the gesso, I only needed one coat and it was full coverage. And I'm using an angle brush, and that really helps me get in there quite well. Then I'm edging the mixed media board. The mixed media, that's about a 1/4 inch thickness. Often I will have these sitting in an easel or sitting on a ledge. So I like to finish off the sides. And like I edge my art journal pages, I'm edging this. Now this could be done as a card. This could be done as an art journal page. Absolutely. This bee was a printable that I had in my stash, but you can, if you can't find a printable, look in coloring books. You can, there's some napkins that Ninny sells that have bees on them. You might have a bee stamp. I sized this one to fit my substrate, which is about 6 by 7. And I'm painting it here. I'm painting it cadmium yellow. He's just such a happy little bee. I like the cartoon bee. And I cut out a sentiment, be the change. There are so many cute bee sayings. I think this would be nice if you made a set of 3 of these with 3 different bee sayings. You could even be kind, be grateful, be loving. So I start, and I'm using stencil butter here through this chicken wire reversed stencil. So the stencil butter is champagne gold, and I'm using a makeup sponge to put it through. Now this is giving a little bit of texture and the bling of the gold. And again, you've got that contrast with the black and the gold, and it just shines. I'm going to dry it halfway through, reposition the stencil, and so I don't smear it. That's why I'm drying it. Miss this corner, so I'm coming in here, and then I'll finish the bottom part. But you want to take time to dry it and make sure that you're not smudging what you've already stenciled. I'm just getting some, again, the stencil butter from the Crafter's Workshop and putting it through. You can use gold gesso here, you can use gold paint, but I find gold paint isn't quite as opaque, so you're not going to get as much contrast. But again, that varies from company to company, so use what you have. And I keep peeking under to make sure I'm getting good coverage. The stencil is very fine, but I'm loving that look. Now I'm just edging a little bit of gold on top of that black, kind of give that two-toned edging effect. So as I said, this is simple, but it has the basic things. We're collaging, we're using printables, we're using stencil butter or modeling paste, and I'm gluing the bee down with the fluid matte medium. And I've repainted the bee with Naples yellow just to mute it down a little bit from the cadmium yellow that I had initially done. This is the Stardust butter from the Crafter's Workshop. This is champagne gold. So I'm going over this just to make my focal image shimmer and shine. So I'm going over this, and you can see the shine. This is like It's like the stencil butters with very fine glitter in it. And then I'm using the pearl white stardust butter for the wings again. So the whole bee is going to shimmer. And you can see that a little bit on the camera. Now I'm just going to use my thinned black acrylic paint and paint in the eyes and the mouth and the stripes and the outline. I'm using a liner brush with this, and as I said, the paint has been thinned. I just want the black to be high contrast. And often when you print on copy paper, just with your laser printer, it's not as opaque as you may want it. Once that's dry, I decide to reinforce the lines around those hexagons on the rice paper. Remember, what's in the rice paper or napkin or printable is just the start. You can tweak it. So I'm using white here, and I liked it, but it just occurs to me that I could have used black, and that would have made it look very different. But you can see from top to bottom what this edition does. It just adds that little bit of something. And once it's dry, now I have this easel that it can fit in. It's kind of a framed easel, and that's why I made it this size. Thank you so much for joining me. Check out the affiliate links in the description box below. Thank you for shopping through my links. Until next time, be creative.